How is everyone doing today? And in this video, as we get super close to Qingyi's release, I know a lot of people have heard a lot of different reviews when it comes to Qingyi's worth, how she works, all that different type of stuff. But the biggest question of them all when it comes to her release is, do you really need her? And in today's video, I will be going over a couple of things in regards to if you really need her, if you don't, and also all of the things considered when it comes to if you summon for her or not. I know a lot of people are just trying to save their film, trying to get a character they really like, because I know some people are really interested in Jane Doe, and a lot of people have been hearing Qingyi's absolutely insane. So before we get into all that, make sure you like, comment, sub, all the different type of stuff, and let me know what you are thinking at the moment, and also which characters you are excited for when it comes to Jane Doe, when it comes to Qingyi, or even Seth. But going into Qingyi, of course, we know that she is going to be our first premier 5-star stunner, which is a pretty big thing, especially when stunning is such a big thing in this game. When it comes to giving you the stun damage multiplier, when it comes to giving you immobile enemies that we're able to do your DPS phases, it's a pretty big deal when it comes to having this role on your team for the majority of the teams in the game. Right now, the only available stunners in the game are Anbi, Lycan, and also Colada, and the only one that is available to everyone is Anbi, which is a very, very great character as is, and someone that a lot of people probably have already invested in. Now, of course, talking about Qingyi, what are her pros and what are the reasons to actually summon for her, and then we're going to get into the why you shouldn't summon for her, or also the if you have these things, you probably might need to skip her for the most part. But the pros for Qingyi, for the most part, a lot of Qingyi and what she does, especially when it comes to stunning, is that she gets to do her job at any point in time, especially when it comes to being able to do her stun combo. She can dodge within it and keep going, which is a pretty big deal because it allows her to stack up the days meter super quickly and make it so much easier for you to get that done. Another thing about Qingyi that is super good for her as well, something that not a lot of people have except for one other character, is being able to give the stun damage multiplier a much bigger boost than something like Lycan, who is the only other character who can raise it up beyond what it has initially. Now, of course, this is a very big thing. Having a character that can increase stun by a crap ton and not have to worry about doing dodges to be able to reset their combo, and also having someone to give you a major boost once they are in days, is a pretty big deal for a character, especially a 5-star stunner. But a lot of people, of course, have been looking at their standard characters that they pulled. A lot of people have been looking at the film that they are trying to save, and to be honest, now that I look at it, especially for a lot of different people, Qingyi, although it seems like to be a very good luxury character, a good character to have for a bunch of different teams, especially when it comes to having Zhu Yuan, Qingyi is very incentivized to be able to use on that team. Zhu Yuan and Qingyi are going to be able to help each other with the faction bonus, and not only that, they're also able to help each other with their own kits as well, with Qingyi being able to be super quick with how she stuns, but also having to not worry when she has to dodge, something that Anbi struggles with, where if she has to keep dodging, she is going to get energy back from her passive, which is a really good thing. But for the most part, you do have to get to those first few initial hits, that way you're able to actually get the days off, which takes her some time versus something like Qingyi. Now, it has been shown that Anbi actually does it a little bit faster than Qingyi, which is a pretty cool thing. But when it comes to having overall DPS, Qingyi's stun damage multiplier is something not to be played with, especially if you have her paired up with Zhu Yuan, where Zhu Yuan also gives a damage multiplier to herself when the enemies are dazed, and this is pretty much the playstyle you want to play. So for the reasons to actually summon for Qingyi, having Zhu Yuan is definitely going to be a very big contingency on if you should summon for her or not, because if you have Zhu Yuan, Qingyi is going to be super good for Zhu Yuan. You're going to be doing absolute nukes. Now, if you don't have Zhu Yuan or don't plan to pull Zhu Yuan, this is where we start going into the territory of, do you really need Qingyi, or you probably should skip for Qingyi? But let's go ahead and start talking about the characters that you're probably going to look at when it comes to looking at Qingyi's value. Right now, Anbi, if you've already invested into her, you already have one stunner. Anbi is a really great unit, especially for the starter portion of the game. When it comes to her being free, she's still a really nice character at the very end game of the game, which is a really cool thing to see, and someone that's able to be put on a bunch of different teams. When it comes to being Anbi heavy built, you have two other options now: Colada or Lycan. Now, if you have Colada or Lycan, now you have your second stunner, which these stunners are pretty much taking up that extra spot in that second team if you were to use a second stunner. Lycan's, of course, really good on basically every team, but is in the premier slot for Ellen's team, which a lot of people have pulled on, and is a really great stunner overall. Colada, really good with the Bellabot characters, and overall has a lot of days coming out of her as well. Not as fast as Lycan, but is still a pretty great stunner. If you have any of these two premium characters, when it comes to Lycan, when it comes to Colada, and you really like one of these guys, or you use these guys actively, and you have Anbi built as well, Qingyi might not be as valuable as you would want. Of course, the whole job of stunning is just to get the enemy immobile, and when it comes to something like Lycan, he's able to increase the stun damage multiplier, although not higher than Qingyi, he's still able to increase it. Koleda is able to, of course, stun the enemy as well for her teammates, and she's able to have an extended kit with Ben, which has shown some pretty good results as well. And if you have these two characters, you have Ambi, you don't really need Qingyi for the most part. You already have your stunners. So realistically, if you already have Ambi built, if you have any of the stunners in the game that aren't Ambi, I guess you could say, or are the 5 stars, Qingyi might be a good choice to skip, in all honesty. Now, if you don't have these characters when it comes to Lycan and also having Koleda, then Qingyi might be a pretty big pickup for you, just because of how strong she is in regards to how fast she dazes, how much damage you're giving off with Qingyi, because she can do some damage as well, and also getting that stun damage multiplier, which is going to help out any DPS in the future. And let's not forget, when it comes to Qingyi's usability in a bunch of different teams, she doesn't have to worry about faction, she doesn't have to worry about element for the most part, because whenever you pair her up with the DPS, guess what? She works with her core passive, which is a pretty big thing for her, to be honest, and is a really good character to have in regards to being able to be capable of being on different teams than just her faction team and just her element team. So she's a pretty big pickup when it comes to how universal she is and the potential value she may have in the future, because she can work on a bunch of different teams versus someone like Lycan, versus someone like Koleda, and also versus something like Ambi. So realistically, if you're okay with the stunners that you have right now, Ambi, Lycan, Koleda, you probably can skip. If you don't have any of these 5 stars, then maybe you could get Qingyi, and possibly even if you're summoning for Qingyi and end up getting Lycan and Koleda, then maybe just save that guaranteed for the next character you want. Maybe something like Jane Doe or whoever else is on the horizon. That might be a pretty big pickup for you for the most part. So realistically, there isn't a huge need for her. She isn't the absolutely most game-breaking character in the game, although a very, very good one. I'll give you that. She is a super, super good character. She's not the must-have. Not yet. I don't think we'll get that for a good moment right now until we're later down the line, because usually it takes a good bit of time for us to get that one character that's absolutely broken. Everybody has to pull them. They're super strong, busted. Your account is pretty much a level down if you don't have them. That's not Qingyi, because Qingyi does have replacements, and Qingyi does have other characters that can compete against her in other ways or other forms. So other than that, that's pretty much it going to be for this video. When it comes to talking about how Ambi is, when it comes to talking about how the other stunners are, and also Qingyi is a really great character. Qingyi is not a needed character. If you really like Qingyi for her design or anything like that, go ahead and summon. If you don't have any other stunners that you have built, and you don't want to play Ambi, you don't want to play Koleda, you don't want to play Lycan, then go ahead and get Qingyi. If you have all these characters, you have 2 of these characters, the ones I've mentioned before, probably skip Qingyi for the most part. I know a lot of accounts are definitely going to want to look at Qingyi and see what exactly she's going to do for their account, but for the most part, if you have any of the characters that I've listed before, you can definitely skip them. She's not a must-have, she's not a must-need. She is a really great one, but not one to waste all the film that you probably were saying for someone else. Jane Doe does look very, very interesting in what she's able to do, and it's definitely someone I think can have more potential than Qingyi when it comes to her being Anomaly, because I do think Anomaly has been very slept on and has been very in the shadows in regards to what it can do for a bunch of different teams. So we'll have to wait and see when she comes out. But other than that, that's pretty much it going to be for this video, where we're talking about Qingyi and if you really need her. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. See y'all guys in the next one, and peace.